Welcome to the Down to Finance podcast by Future Finance Group. My name is Amy Tennant, and today we have Sarah in the house, and we are joined by special guest Andrew Date from Industry Insider, and we're going to be discussing a case study on one of our recent clients' success using a buyer's agent. So my client, Greg and Beck, have been a Future Finance client for about 16 years. They have 3 children and living in Seaford. I think actually the first time they broke, so maybe they were in Seaford for about 11 years. Now, both had professional jobs and came to me and said, Amy, we're actually thinking about a really big life-changing decision. And I said, I've got the perfect person to be able to provide you with all the right advice and to basically like hold your hand and give you encouragement throughout this journey. So they were looking at a lifestyle decision to move into the city, into the immediate CBD for, I guess, the features of being near, the city amenities and really getting away from that suburbia scene. So I introduced them to Andrew. And how long was your journey working with Greg and Beck, do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, that was an amazing story. I really enjoyed working with Greg and Beck because their situation was complex. They had to sell a family home of 11 years and then buy at the same time and settle at the same time, which is not always easy. And they were in their late 40s, early 50s, and it's quite unusual for people to make that move that early. And I thought, wow, this is really bold. Good on them. They're really living their life. And I've caught up with Greg since, and they're really happy. So they're loving it. So it was a sell and a buy. So we went in and we interviewed 2 local agents in Seaford, and we structured up an auction campaign, and we successfully sold their property at auction. And at the same time, we were looking for properties.
So just to really highlight that scenario, Andrew was actually able to take charge of the sale for them as well. So he was able to, as he said, interview those real estate agents in Seaford, which he has an unbelievable experience like in that particular area. So it was like the perfect outcome. And it took away the emotional hurdle of Beck and Greg choosing the wrong person, I guess. But also like these are clients that had lived there for 11 years and they had significantly improved their home. Like it was a really small house in Seaford and they had done an extensive renovation. So a lot of blood, sweat and tears went into this house. So I know when I've obviously gone and sold a house, it comes with a lot of emotions. Like,
especially when you've got kids that have grown up in that house as well. It's huge to let go.
Lots of memories and everything. So yeah, as I just wanted to highlight, Andrew really took charge of that process as well.
Yeah, it was an advisory role, and I think they had a bad experience selling a previous home. So I think that was one of the reasons why they trusted us on the advisory. And I grew up in Seaford and have an investment property there. So I know the best agents really well. And when you're selling a property, picking the best agent is the number one thing you need to be doing. So
absolutely. And that advisory role, I think, is probably something that maybe a lot of our audience wouldn't know that you do. So when you do take on the right client, because you don't say yes to every client, which is the same as us, like obviously not every client is going to be the perfect fit for every business. But if and when the time does come right and that client does fit the box, I mean, how amazing for you to be able to control both sides of the transaction. It just makes it such a more smoother experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And giving them independent guidance on what's actually happening during the campaign, how to price the property for sale, where they should be spending money on marketing. It was really one of my favorite client experiences. So thank you for the introduction. They were lovely to work with. Like I said, I caught up with Greg. I've asked to catch up with Beck for a coffee. And it was really good. I really appreciate that.
And I think obviously something that a lot of like us don't realise is because we are down in obviously Langwarrin, Leafy Langwarrin, buying in the city and buying an apartment type property has so many risks. There's so much, like, don't you have something like 100-point like due diligence checklist or something? Not that I want to like let your secret sauce out, but it's something astronomical where you do like a property identifying and you go through this series and you're like, no, yes, no.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when you buy a house in the suburbs or anywhere, a freestanding house, there's quite little that can go wrong from a sense of like you've got your own title, you're in control of the land and the building.
Yep.
When you buy an apartment, you're buying into a whole entire ecosystem. So you've got lifts, you've got amenities like pools, saunas, steam rooms, cinemas, gyms. You've got so many moving parts, and then you've got 150, 300 neighbours. So that's a lot of people.
Ugh.
So it's very different to buying
Scary.
your own title. So literally we can rule out apartment buildings quite quickly based off our knowledge and IP of over 17 years of buying and selling, and save our clients time. So there's a lot of buildings that we'll just flat out put a cross through straight away before even bothering to go and look. And with the apartment we bought for Greg and Beck, that was right opposite the Botanical Gardens. It was off market. The current seller was in the middle of painting and putting in new blinds and staging. And I swooped in and I said, stop.
Yeah.
We'll buy this. Stop spending money. We'll buy this. This is the price. I started at, I think, $1 million, and we paid $1.05 million for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment that needed painting and a bit of cleaning up. But opposite the Botanical Gardens, 500 metres to the art centre, like literally walk to the MCG, one of the best cities in the world. And I think they really stole that property when we brought that.
Yeah, they were so happy, like fantastic result in the end. One thing that Andrew didn't touch on, it was a simultaneous settlement as well. So there was no bridging finance involved. We didn't have the bridging finance at peak debt for a month or anything like that. We were able to get them
which is
together,
a huge saving.
or even I think maybe the sale might have settled a little bit before, but there was definitely no bridging finance, which made them have more money in their back pocket at the end of the day, which resulted in them being able to do some of those cosmetic improvements. So, they, I think, invested about $30,000 in the flooring and the painting and everything like that. And something that we do as mortgage brokers is we reevaluate our client's situation all the time. And so we've
Have you done that valuation?
Post settlement valuation a few months ago, and it's come in $150,000 more than what they've paid. And so
when did it settle?
It was settled in like July or August of last year.
Yeah, less than 12
than a year.
months.
Yeah, less than
And
12
they've had
months.
that growth.
Yeah,
Wow.
in a market which, we still we hadn't seen any light at the end of the tunnel with rate cuts then either. It was really unknown. We were in that period where inflation was still quite high. There certainly wasn't any, I guess, speculation about rate cuts. So it's definitely paid off for them.
Yeah, and of that 30,000, they upgraded the heating and cooling, and that cost about 10.
Yep.
So they've got brand new heating and cooling. They've got 2 car parks as well,
Wow.
3
Wow.
bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. Now, if you go into the city and you look at what it costs to rent a property like that, I'm paying close to $1,000 a week for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2 car. So you could imagine what it would cost to rent that place. So I said to them, if you ever decided to change lifestyle again, you could easily rent this out for $1,100, $1,200 a week rent.
Yeah, fantastic investment, fantastic ongoing investment.
That's an amazing outcome for them.
Yeah, I mean, I even know when I go and stay in the city for 2 or 3 nights and I'm getting like an Airbnb and I'm paying $1,500 for 2 or 3 nights for a 2-bedroom,
Yeah, even if
2-bathroom
they
property. And
Airbnb
generally they don't have any view. I'm staring at the building next door.
It's crazy.
So.
And then you've got Australian Open, Grand Prix, Grand Final. They jack the prices up 2-3 times then as well. So very happy for Greg and Beck. And there's actually an apartment on the market in that building now, but it's 4 levels down, same floor plan, and they're asking $1.05 million to $1.15 million. So inferior views, same footprint, needs a renovation.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, any investors out there listening that want a great opportunity, let us know. But I think it just goes back to obviously the importance of, us as mortgage brokers having a great relationship with a buyer's agent. So what we do is not just process loans and get you unconditional. Like our job is really to be a part of your journey to make these outcomes.
The whole strategy.
It's like a life changing decision for these people. Like, I mean, the flip side to this great outcome could have been that A, they sold in Seaford with a poor agent, didn't get a great result. B, brought an apartment, as Andrew said, with
a car stacker.
a car stacker, or in a building that predominantly has 90% of investors and is full of, tenants.
OC issues, water leaks in the pools, you name it, security issues, like people stealing cars, stealing bikes and things from storage lockers in basements. Like that can happen if the building's not managed well. So there are so many red flags, and this is probably the most important thing I've said today when it comes to buying an apartment. The strata report and the AGM minutes are more important than the contract of sale.
Because that highlights all the issues that are going on in the building or apartment, isn't it?
The contract of sale is the contract of sale. You can read through the fine print.
How many times, like just out of curiosity, that would you pick up a Section 32 and would that sometimes be missing and you wouldn't even
ask for it?
Do you know what I mean? Because I know for myself, I've recently seen one and it wasn't even included, and it wasn't until I went back and I was like, actually, these are clients in WA that are buying in Perth. And I was like, it's not even included, and the building was like 21 years old. And I'm like, there's definitely got to be data on this. You've got to go back to the agent. And then all of a sudden it appeared, how many times would you see that? And
yeah, that goes back to what you were saying earlier around leaning. You're not just mortgage brokers, right? You've got an ecosystem of professionals that you work with. So a solicitor or a conveyancer would be reviewing that documentation for the client, and they would identify that. Some of the length of contracts and Section 32s for apartments can be over 150, 200 pages long, especially off the plan. And it's just a nightmare to read. I'm not a lawyer. I focus on asset class negotiation and helping my clients pick the best property. Yep. So getting a professional conveyancer lawyer to look at the contract, they'll pick that up.
So important.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd never, ever buy an apartment without having a solicitor or conveyancer review the strata minutes, the body corporate, the AGM minutes, because it could be a can of worms.
And I think we just want to highlight that we've got clients that are in all different journeys of life. We've got our first home buyers, we've got our investors, first time investors, we've got our rent investors. But this was really a different niche of client. These sort of 50, late 40s to early 50s that were, they'd worked really hard for a good 35 years, bringing up their, younger children into early adolescence. And now they're in that position where they want to get their
Kids
life
have left
back.
the nest.
Yeah. Go out for dinners and everything like that. So I think if, there are clients out there that are thinking how do I make this all work? This is stuff that we do every single day, and we do have really good outcomes. You're not just going to get good capital growth from investing in suburb type areas. There are some amazing results that are in the city. And I think sometimes that's maybe what people could be a bit hesitant towards. If I'm going to be selling my, 800 square meter block in Seaford that's 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 3 living areas, am I going to get that same, growth if I'm going into an apartment? And, as Andrew said, if you're investing in the right property,
or you've got the right person representing you to find that. It can happen.
Still make good capital growth to your balance sheet at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to be very picky. 80% of apartments are rubbish and 20% are good. So you've got to know what to be looking for. I feel like the last 4 or 5 years with the cost of labour and inflation of building materials exploding, the cost to build an apartment now is a lot more expensive than it was 5 years ago. So certain apartments are actually looking like quite good value relative to what they're selling for, especially if they're in a good location. So the square metre rate for a brand new building in say either Port Melbourne, South Melbourne, Docklands can be between 10 and 16,000 a square metre just for the floor plan.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and it's definitely in that construction industry we've seen such a change in the last 5 years. Like, yeah, it's really evolved in so many ways. So I think, if you are out there and you're considering, a lifestyle change, then this is something that we are able to assist with. And we hope that this has maybe provided you some kind of insight into obviously what a buyer's agent can do on both sides, the selling and the purchasing side. And obviously Andrew's details will be below. So if you have any further questions or queries, please feel free to reach out to him. Thanks, Sarah, for joining.
Thanks,
Andrew, for coming in.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys. It was good fun.
Thank you. Just remember to keep in mind, these podcasts are just general advice. And if you are after something more customized, reach out to your financial advisor, or you can reach out to us and we'd be more than happy to help.